ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नित्यानंद नमस्तुभ्यं प्रेमानंदप्रदायिने कलौ कल्मषनाशाय जानवापतये नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामने गौरतुसे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण. So we welcome everyone for today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So yesterday we discussed from Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse number 32. यदृच्छया चौपपन्नं स्वर्गद्वारमपावृतं सुखिनः क्षत्रिया पार्थ लभन्ते युद्धमीदृशम्. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. So, if you are getting the opportunity uh, without endeavoring, without endeavor, if you get the opportunity to get promoted to higher destination, so you should be happy. You should not avoid that opportunity, Arjuna. Krishna is telling you, Arjuna, like this. Similarly, we also have got. Without endeavoring, we are getting the opportunity to render service to Krishna, to perfect our life. So we should not avoid it at any cost. We should not let it go from our hands. Uh, that is the meaning. So we discussed this verse yesterday. We'll read the purport and read. Okay, we completed the purport also. Yes. Next. So next, Krishna is telling. अथ चेत्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं सङ्ग्रामं न करिष्यसि तथा स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापम् अवाप्स्यसि. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. On the other hand, in the previous verse, the verse number 31, the first verse of this section, Krishna told that considering your material duties as well, Arjuna, you should fight. You should not avoid this battlefield, even if you consider material duty. And then he told that Swargadwaram apavritam, even at the platform of material duty, dharma, if you execute this duty of fighting in this battlefield, you will achieve heavenly planets. But on the other hand, if you neglect to fight, atah chetatvam imam dharmam, if however, imam dharmam, this dharma yuddha, being a kshatriya, to fight for establishing dharma was a dharma, it's a dharma yuddha for Arjuna. So, atha chetam imam dharmam, if however you, imam dharmam, sangramam, fighting dharma. For Arjuna, sangramam means fighting. Na karishyasi, if you do not follow it, if you do not execute it. Tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva. So because of neglecting your swadharma, hitva means swadharmam hitva. You will papam avapsasi. You will get sin. Avapsasi. Then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. So you will get the sin also and your reputation, fame as being a great fighter, greatest Dhanurdhara, that also you will lose. This will be the result. So in the previous chapter, chapter number 1, when Arjuna was explaining the reason for not fighting, so one of the reason Arjuna gave was that papam evashraye tasman hatva etata atataina. Arjuna told Krishna this, that will incur the sin, both you and myself, we will get the sin. That's why we should not encourage this fighting, this battle to happen. Arjuna was thinking like this. But on the other hand, Krishna in this section, he is explaining to Arjuna that, my dear Arjuna, it's not that uh, if you fight that you will incur sin, but rather if you avoid this fighting, then you will get the sin. Because swadharmam hitva, swadharma, it is your swadharma, this is your own dharma, so you cannot neglect it. If you neglect it, then you will get the sin. Because you are duty bound to follow this dharma. Then you will get the sin, avapsa sin. So just imagine if somebody neglects his bodily dharma. This, for Arjuna here, in the case of Arjuna, fighting on the battlefield for the purpose of establishing dharma, protecting religion, that is bhautik dharma, a bodily dharma related with this material body. If one neglects to follow the material bodily dharma, which is not of so value, which is not so important as compared to the spirit soul's dharma, that Krishna has already explained in the previous section, verse number 16. नासतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सता na asata vidyate bhava. There is not much value to this asat means material body, material things, material duties. It's not so much valuable as compared to the this importance of the soul, the value of the soul. So bhautik dharma, material duties, has not got so much value in comparison to the soul's dharma. But even if one neglects this his material duties, then also he is getting sinful reaction. He has to go to hell and suffer there heavily. Then what to speak of if one neglects to follow his spiritual dharma. So if one neglects, avoids his swadharma, material dharma, bhautik dharma, then he gets the sin, and for that sin he gets some punishment, and then he is released from that particular sin. After getting the punishment, he is released, over, balanced. But this avoidance of spiritual dharma is so powerful. It's such a great sin that one goes on to get the punishment again and again, again and again. That is the result of avoiding or neglecting uh, our spiritual dharma, spiritual duty. Our spiritual dharma, spiritual duty is to serve Krishna, to perform devotional service to Krishna. So we cannot neglect it. Then it will be the greatest sin. That's why elsewhere it is mentioned, what is the greatest sinful activity? Who is the greatest sinner? Can any one of you tell? What is the greatest sin in this world, and who is the greatest sinner in this world? Because of performing that greatest kind of sinful activity, one has to suffer again and again, eternally. Practically eternally, one suffers in this material. Such a heavy punishment. And what is that greatest sin? The greatest sin is dehato buddhi. Dehato buddhi means when one thinks oneself to be this body or related with this body, aham mama, oneself to be this body and mind, and maintains the attachment for bodily things, material things, then he is performing the greatest kind of sinful activity. Why? Because for this reason only, just for maintaining attachments for material things, for matter, uh, material body, one will have to take birth again and again. Till the time one maintains even slightest attachment for matter, one has to come back. So isn't it not the greatest sin? Because the reaction is heavy again and again. Birth, death, old age, and disease, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, he has to suffer again and again. Such a greatest sin. But because of illusion or the influence of Maya, a person who is influenced by Maya, he cannot understand this. He thinks that, oh, my bodily sense gratification gives me enjoyment, so let us enjoy. Let us have this sense enjoyment. What is this spiritual knowledge? He neglects it, but he doesn't understand that if you maintain this desire to sense gratification, material attachments, so you will have to come back again. A desire for sense gratification, by the way, let me clear you. The sense gratification doesn't only mean to perform sinful activities. Performance of sinful activities, this is the worst kind of sense gratification, which is not actually sense gratification. This is actually sense suffering. This is not gratification. This is not sense enjoyment. This is sense suffering situation. Sense enjoyment to sense gratification means while living in this material world very piously, one performs pious activities or follows the principles of morality, dharma, and still maintains the attachment, material attachment for body and things and people related with the body. And this way enjoys very happy life, material life, happy material life. That is sense gratification. That results into again and again taking birth in this material life. So that is also considered as sinful activity. That is also sin, greatest kind of sinful activity. So this is from a spiritual point of view, which is actual point of view. If one looks at material activities from a spiritual platform, a spiritual point of view, then one can understand that maintaining any kinds of material attachments, whether good or bad, is actually all bad, all is sinful, is actually binding, is becomes a cause for bondage. Intelligent persons whose consciousness is clear, intelligence is clear, with the spiritual knowledge, they can understand this. But those whose brains are filled with cow dung, they cannot understand this. They will put argument. Oh, how can you say this is pious activity? This is our dharma duty to maintain all material life, happy material life. Anyway, so this is the result of maintaining dehatma buddhi, attachment for body and things and people related with this body. Attachment one maintains. Then he has to take birth again. This is the greatest suffering in this material world because as soon as you get the birth, immediately everything else is followed. Then birth, then old age, disease, and death. And in between birth and death, so many material activities, whether pious or impious, doesn't matter, but fruitive activities. Fruitive activities means activities which are performed in material consciousness, maintaining dehatma buddhi or material attachments, results into suffering or so-called happiness of this, which is binding either way. In both the ways, it's binding only. One has to come back again, one has to take birth again. So what is the big deal? What is the big difference? If suppose somebody performs great pious activity, but still he has to come back and take birth, maybe in the family of a king, he may take birth as a prince, but still he has to go through those suffering situation. The process of taking birth is very painful. It's very painful for both the persons who are involved in giving birth and the person who is the living entity who is taking the birth. It's very suffering situation. And then as soon as he's taken birth, Although he may, because of his pious activity, he may get the birth in a very opulent family, good family, so-called good family, or a very rich family, but still he has to struggle in this material world. He has to face the three kinds of klesha. Adi bhautik kalesh, adhyatmik kalesh, adi daivik kalesh. Misery is pertaining to the body, misery is pertaining to the body and mind, to other living entities, and to natural disasters. The three tab, it is called a three tab, three kinds of miseries. One has to get it. And apart from this, because he is materially too much attached, so many desires for sense gratification are still present within his heart. So, within the core of his heart, he's burning like anything. So, it doesn't matter even if he's a king or a big celebrity, very rich, very famous, very beautiful, handsome, very big celebrity. Doesn't matter because the heart is still contaminated. So, he's suffering because of this, because he is unable to fulfill all of his desires within the heart. So because of previous pious activity, he may have the opportunity to enjoy sense gratification, but because the heart is materially contaminated, there are unlimited desires within the heart, unlimited material lusty desires are present. So it doesn't matter even if the entire universe is given to him for sense enjoyment, he cannot satisfy his heart. So he has to suffer. And there are many, many examples, great, great kings. Right now, nobody can compare. In previous yugas, there were great, great kings who, because of their pious activity, they attained opulences, beauty, and opportunities for sense enjoyment for many, many thousands of years. But still, they got frustrated. And in fact, in this material world only, there are demigods in the heavenly planets who have full opportunity for any kind of material sense enjoyment without any restriction, no social restriction, no bodily limitations. They don't even get diseased. Demigods in heavenly planets, they can drink liquor without getting the disease uh, and without getting intoxicated too much so that they destroy everything. Demigods in the heavenly planets, they can engage in any kind of sinful activity. Not that is not sinful there. Just like illicit sex. Illicit sex is the conception of illicit sex is in this earthly planet, not in the heavenly planets. They can enjoy with anyone and everyone. Uh, but still, just see, if we look at the scriptures, we find even those demigods, they are also in great anxiety. Although they have all the opportunities, facilities for sense enjoyment, still, and for many millions of years, just like Lord Indra. Indra is the king of heaven. If you perform 100 Aswamedha Yajna, which is of course not possible at all in this Kali Yuga, but if somebody performs 100 Aswamedha Yajna, he becomes the king of the demigods, known as Indra, and he gets the full-fledged opportunity for all kinds of sense enjoyment for 32 crores of years. How many? How much? 32 crore years. 32 crores of years, he gets the full-fledged enjoyment facility, but still uh, if we reflect upon the stories, kathas given in the scriptures, we find Indra is always into anxiety. He is always frustrated, always unhappy. Why? Because of being unable to control the desire for sense gratification, time to time he commits offenses to some great sages or some kind of so many things happens, and then he has to suffer. Just like uh, because of being unable to control his lusty desire, he had the physical association with Ahalya, the wife of Gautam Rishi. And as soon as Gautam Rishi came to know, he cursed him, and immediately his life became miserable. Uh, Because of being too much intoxicated with the name and fame and potential power which Indra had, many times he offends great devotees, Vaishnavas, and then he gets the curse and immediately he falls down. Uh, And because sometimes there are many demons, they perform great austerities and get the power, and they come and fight with Indra, and he is defeated. He loses his kingdom completely. And all his kingdom, along with his paraphernalia, associates, and all his apsaras and opulences, then everything is enjoyed by the demons, and he can simply watch. And such a great anxiety, such a great trouble for the mind. So is it not miserable situation? So even the demigods in the heavenly planets, who are supposed to be very opulent, very well situated in terms of facilities, everything is there, but still they are also unhappy. Why? The root cause is maintaining material attachments within the heart. It will only cause us again and again to fall back to this material world, take birth again. Doesn't matter because of past activity, even if you take birth as a demigod, great demigod, such as Lord Indra, or even if you take birth as a human being or in lower planet systems, uh, another species, what to speak of other species. If somebody performs sinful activity, he may get birth as cats and dogs and hogs and so many insects. Then his life is completely miserable. And practically in this age of Kali, uh, by default, everyone is engaged in sinful activity. For your information, almost everyone is engaged in sinful activity because sinful activities means performing activity, avoiding the prescriptions given in the scriptures. So nobody is performing any activity as per the instructions of the scriptures. That means even just for maintaining one's family, maintaining one's life while living in this material world with so-called moral principles, that is also considered to be sinful activity. And for that, one has to take birth as an animal or so many different kinds of species. Such a risky situation, such a risky life people are leading, but because of the influence of Maya, they are unable to understand. And when some devotee they goes to them and they go to them and they tell them that you read Bhagavad Gita, you understand the value of human form of life. They say this is all mythology. We don't believe this. We are atheists. So you may say whatever you nonsense you want to say, but that does not mean that the laws of the God will not work upon. Just like if somebody says, I don't care for the government laws, I don't care for the rules and regulations given by Prime Minister. You may say, I don't care for traffic rules. Take for example, simple example. If somebody says, I don't care for traffic rules, and if red signal comes and he just goes on and on, uh, what will happen? The traffic policeman will come in front and take the fine. Very simple. Then you cannot do anything. The traffic, so laws of this material world are very, very strict, stringent material laws. Laws are very, very stringent and strict. Nobody can avoid it. The only method is that we should become firmly fixed in the performance of our spiritual duties and spiritual rules and regulations. So one who is intelligent, one who can control their senses and attachments for this material world. And so this is a little austerity, no doubt about it. It's not so easy for a person who has developed some kind of attachment for this material world. So it will indeed be very difficult task, but take it as austerity. So if one can perform this austerity, little tapasya, and control his mind and senses and perfectly follow the rules and regulations, then he can get relief from all kinds of suffering situation. Otherwise, very, very binding situation one is living in this material world. Uh, so this is the greatest kind of sin to accept oneself to be this body and maintain the material attachment. This is the greatest sin. So the point is that here in this verse, Krishna is telling that if you don't perform even your material duty, Krishna is speaking to Arjuna in terms of material dharma because Arjuna is unable to accept spiritual duties immediately. So Krishna is telling, even if you think yourself to be this body, as a Kshatriya, you must fight. But tathasu dharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avasprisesi. If you just neglect your material dharma also, then also you will get the sinful activity. Then what to speak of avoiding spiritual dharma? Our spiritual duty, dharma, is to serve Krishna constantly. Manmana mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskru. That is our dharma. To always remember Krishna, never forget him. To always follow his instructions. That is our spiritual duty, dharma. If you don't follow it, then how much uh, this sinful reaction will be getting. So hitva papam bhavav. So you will get the sinful reaction for avoiding this. So Arjuna was a famous fighter, and he attained fame by fighting many great demigods, including even Lord Shiva. That was Arjuna's fame. He even fought with Lord Shiva, and he defeated, not exactly defeated, but Lord Shiva became very happy. Uh, After fighting and defeating Lord Shiva in the dress of a hunter, Lord Shiva came in the form of a hunter just to test Arjuna. So Arjuna fought very nicely with Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva accepted the defeat because he became pleased with his Arjuna's great skill and power. So he Arjuna and pleased the Lord and received as a reward a weapon called Pashupatastra. Lord Shiva, he became pleased and he gave Pashupatastra to Arjuna. So everyone knew that he was a great warrior. So everyone knew throughout the world, everyone, not just in the world, throughout the universe, everyone knew because Lord Shiva is such a great personality. If somebody can defeat Lord Shiva and get blessings from him, so all the demigods and all the earthly beings, everyone knew Arjuna's greatness. He is a great warrior. That's why it will not be very good. You will lose all your reputation and fame if you avoid this fight. Even Dronacharya gave him benedictions and awarded him the special weapon by which he could kill even his teacher. From Dronacharya also, he got special blessings and he gave him a special weapon by which he can kill Dronacharya also, because Dronacharya could not be killed by anyone. That was the benediction Dronacharya had. So he was credited with so many military certificates from many authorities, including his adoptive father Indra also, the heavenly king. But if he abandoned the battle, not only would he neglect his specific duty as a Kshatriya, but he would lose all his fame and good name and thus prepare his royal road to hell. In other words, he would go to hell not by fighting but by withdrawing from it. Similarly, many times, foolish people they think that we have so many material responsibility, material duties towards our family members, towards society, this, that. If we just simply chant and perform duties, devotional service to Krishna, so if we neglect all our material dharma, so we'll get the same. No, it's other way around. If you don't perform your spiritual duties, dharma duties for Krishna, then you will get the same. One should never, always remember this. Just like Arjuna here, Arjuna, she was credited with so many extraordinary qualities. So many great personalities blessed him. After receiving all these blessings and all these facilities and opportunities, if still he avoids to fight, then he is a loser. He lost everything. Similarly, we are very fortunate. We are very blessed to take birth in the holy land of India, and that too, we have got the opportunity to associate with devotees. We have got the opportunity to chant Hare Krishna, to serve Krishna. Such a nice facility, especially those of you who are living in a city where ISKCON temples are there, association of devotees are there, facility to serve Krishna is there. uh, so we are blessed with so many nice things. So if we don't accept it and if we don't become serious, don't follow, then willingly we are taking poison. That is equal to willingly taking poison. And that will lead us towards a hellish condition of life. What is that hellish condition of life? Hellish condition of life is to enter into such situation where we will have no more association with you. Because the rule is very simple. If we do not take full advantage of association of pure devotees who are willing to help us, who are willing to give us facilities so that we can advance in Krishna consciousness, if we do not take it seriously, do not become serious and follow it, then the opportunity will be lost, and we will have to again come back to this material world performing all kinds of sinful activity, go through the cycle of 84 lakh species, and just remain in suffering situation. So intelligent person who understand this, they utilize the opportunity which they get from the association of devotees and progress very nicely in the path of devotional service. And in this way, they make their life successful and they go back to Godhead to associate with Krishna eternally. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If you have any question, you can ask. Yes, Pratik, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
प्रणाम प्रभु। प्रभु लॉ
Hare
ऑफ
Krishna.
कर्मा कैसे वर्क करता है डिवोटी के लाइफ में?
डिवोटी के लाइफ में भी वर्क करता है, बट फॉर अ डिवोटी कृष्णा पर्सनली हैंडल्स लॉ ऑफ कर्मा, बट one has to get the reaction. It's not that one has become devotee, so he can do any nonsense thing and is still expected to become free from the reaction. No. Law of karma will work. Material world's laws are very, very stringent. Just like this Bharat Maharaj. Because he left everything, all attachments he left, but he just maintained some attachment for a deer. Oh my dear, oh my dear. For this reason, he had to become a deer in next life. Just imagine. He left all other attachments. He was a king, emperor of the entire earth planet. He had so many beautiful queens, children, and citizens, and ministers, royal opulences, all the facilities. In his very young age, he left everything for the sake of advancing in Krishna consciousness. He just maintained some attachment for a deer. And for this reason, he had to become a deer. Next life again come, he came back. Similarly, we cannot say that I have no other attachment. I do not drink. I have no non-veg, no intoxication, no gambling. Just only one thing is there. For that one thing, you will have to come back. You will have to, laws are very, very strict. So one should be very careful. And it's not difficult actually. It's not impossible. It may be little difficult in the beginning, but one who is willing, who desires to get released from all kinds of attachments, he can become free. It's not difficult also, because all help is being given by devotees, the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord personally is ready to come to us and give his association in the form of his holy name. So how is it possible if a person who takes very seriously to chanting of the holy name of Krishna, how is it possible that any other attachments can remain within his heart? Not possible at all. The only condition is one should be willing to become free from the material things, material attachment. Then one can become. It's not difficult. But laws of material world are very, very stringent, very, very strict. Okay. Is any other question?
प्रैक्टिसिंग डिवोटी की लाइफ में भी ये सब अप्लाई होता है क्या? मतलब
Yes, yes, it applies. Practicing, Bharat Maharaj was a practicing devotee. Rather, he was very advanced devotee. Bharat Maharaj, who left every, just think over it. We cannot. Sometimes we say some of the boys that, oh, now you are understanding philosophy. You just leave everything, surrender fully to Krishna. Oh, Prabhuji, how can I live? I am earning 80,000 per month. I have so much. It's very difficult for me to leave this good job. Just imagine. Bharat Maharaj left entire kingdom, entire earth. He was emperor of entire earth. And not just he left the so much opulence kingdom. She had so many beautiful queens, so many nice children and
ना मतलब बताने
citizens,
आदत।
uh, and ministers and all the citizens, good name and fame, everything. He just left, and it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. How he left it? It's not that he was while living he was very much experiencing pain. Example is given. She left Malavat. Malavat means just like every day we go for passing a stool. So after passing a stool, we do not look back to it after leaving that place. Similarly, when he left everything, he did not look it back, if not even for a single time. He just left everything, and in the darkest region of forest, he went there and made a small kutia, and he was chanting Hare Krishna very nicely. Nicely, he was doing chanting. Everything was nice, And so much so that he raised himself to the platform of Bhava Bhakti. Means he crossed Anarth Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, and Bhav stage he reached. And so much so that while chanting Hare Krishna, remembering Krishna's lotus feet, tears uh, would roll down from his eyes. He was crying. He was experiencing such great intense love for Krishna. But then he developed some affection or attachment for a small deer, and he got entangled. So so for us, but it's not impossible. There are devotees who become completely free. This one lifetime, especially if somebody has 40, 50 years, if he, from the beginning stage only, beginning days only, if somebody becomes very serious in becoming success, completing his Krishna consciousness, willing, desires to completely become free from all attachments, and strictly follows the regulative principle, at least grossly. At least at gross level, one must strictly follow the four regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra very attentively. Every day hear Bhagavatam, Gita classes, then definitely he can become free completely. Yes, any other question? For some reason, as we're not ready, I have to book this day because we were not ready for that time as I have to. Okay, okay. So, no, no, we cannot say that the soul has not entered. But as soon as there is pregnancy, so the soul is there, the life is there. Because only when the soul is injected in the womb of a mother, then only she becomes pregnant. So that means doesn't matter if the child is whether 1 month old, 2 month, or 3 month, or 8 months old. The soul is there, so it is a sinful activity. But Lord Krishna has said, "Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja aham tvam sarva papet." So this hope we have. If we fully surrender to Krishna, then Krishna very mercifully all our previous sins, whatever knowingly or unknowingly if we have committed, of course, it comes in the category of unknowingly because at that time, if we were not Krishna conscious, we did not know that this is a sinful activity. So it comes in the category of unknowingly committing this sin. So Krishna forgives it. So don't worry. Now you should take full shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, and further we should not commit any sinful activity. Krishna very mercifully will forgive everything and deliver us. Okay. So time is up. We'll stop here.
एक और
Yes.
क्वेश्चन था मेरा ब्रो।
अच्छा बोलिए।
जैसे कोई भक्ति में आता है और प्रॉपरली भक्ति करना चाहता है और वो अपने मटेरियल ड्यूटीज भक्ति की वजह से ठीक से नहीं कर पाता है, तो वो चीज मतलब, और भक्ति प्रैक्टिसिंग है तो उस वजह से ना उसे चैंटिंग में टेस्ट आ रहा है उतना, ना रीडिंग में उतना वो आ रहा है, और अपना
Try
मटेरियल
and
ड्यूटीज
try.
है उसे भी प्रॉपरली नहीं कर पा रहा है, तो उसका रिएक्शंस क्या होंगे? मतलब दोनों साइड से गया ना वो तो।
Arjuna also asked the same similar question to Krishna. So Krishna guarantees that do not worry. If somebody is trying uh, to advance in Krishna consciousness, and even if he is unable to do it completely, still there is no loss for him. He will be given nice good facility again to complete his task. So do not worry about it. You just try your best. So try and try. At the end, you will succeed. And you have got so much time. You are a young devotee. Still, you have next 40, 50, 60 years, maybe 70 years also. So you can complete it. You just sincerely go on doing as you are doing it now. So you can do it. Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna.